This video is going to be a reminder that filmmaking is worth it and it is valuable, and there is nothing like the magic of being on set. My name is Morris Litica. I am a filmmaker and creator auteur. I talk about combining the creator economy with the auteur practices of filmmaking in order to create sustainable and rewarding careers and lifestyles for filmmaking artists. And this video this week is going to be a little bit of a rant. I'm not quite sure where it's going to go, but I just want to reflect on an experience I had earlier this week being on set with my longtime collaborator, friend, and producer, Chris Hall, on his short horror proof of concept called Deep Waters. For those who don't know, a proof of concept is kind of like a long teaser or trailer. It sometimes can be just a scene from a feature film. It could be a short film all of itself that's self-contained. Whiplash had a proof of concept. I forget the name of it, but it was just a short film that was essentially that scene when he first meets the music teacher and gets the cymbal thrown at his head. Chris has been developing this horror film about mysterious spirits and monsters on a lake that use people's guilt and emotions to lure them in and drag them down into the deep waters so they can bolster their numbers and feed itself. I haven't read the feature in a long time, but that's what I remember. So we decided to start actually trying to shoot this proof of concept around last month, and Chris kind of brought it together really fast, and I was helping out a bit. And this past week, we shot up in Lake Peru, up by Santa Clarita, and it was just an amazing time. It was a little bit overcast, but that just made the atmosphere that we were trying to create all that much easier, especially in a place like Southern California where the sun is out a lot. Trying to create something like moody and atmospheric can be a challenge because you're trying to block out the sun, and then maybe you're like adding a fog machine. And when you add a fog machine, you need like 2 or 3 people and a lot of fog to make it happen. This was a really low budget, small production. I think we had around 10 to 12 people if you include the cast, and the cast was the monster and, well, for lack of a better term, the victim who was being dragged under. And we basically had this fight scene on the shore of the water. We had a medic so that way everybody was safe, because safety for both Chris and I is a priority. You know, we're making films, not trying to fight fires, and there's no reason for anybody to be in any danger or put their life on the line for a film, in my opinion. And just being out there reminded me of why it is that we do this. I think sometimes people wonder why it is that filmmakers do what we would do. Like, you guys are insane. Like, why do you keep trying to do this thing that's like super expensive and takes a long time to put together, and then may or may not actually give you a return on the money that's been like thrown in? And being on that set reminded me why. It's because there is nothing like a group of people who come together and they're all on the same page and we're all having fun and we're all making something. I've been on crews of all sizes. The crew that I'm shooting the documentary Becoming Aria with is around like 2 to 3 people max. It's me, sometimes my DP, and then Aria. That's it. And then I've been on crews that are hundreds of people. I've worked on films like Pirates of the Caribbean, and I think it was Resident Evil 4, the 3D one. There was a period of time where there was a lot of 3D movies being made, and I worked for this company that did a lot of Christopher Nolan's miniatures work, and they did a lot of other VFX work. So I got to work on some really big productions, such as the proof of concept for the film Gravity, which that is a story that I will relay at some point. When you get on a crew that is that large, you don't really get to know everybody. You mostly talk with the people who you are in your department. And for my case, during that time, it was the production department. So I talked with a lot of other production assistants and production managers. And then occasionally you would run into other people. And it becomes a little high school-esque, not in the way that's toxic, where this group doesn't talk to that group, but you mostly talk with people who you already know, and you don't really get to know everybody, even though you'd really like to, because there's people in all kinds of departments doing all kinds of really cool stuff. And in the case of like Pirates of the Caribbean, we were building life-size ships and putting them in large swim tanks and then blowing them up in the air. We even had the monkey come out, which we were warned not to talk to the monkey, look at the monkey, get too close to the monkey. Apparently, the monkey is very temperamental for Pirates of the Caribbean, if you wanted to know. But he performs well, so I guess he's like some actors. But being up in Lake Peru on this short horror film proof of concept, it's kind of like summer camp for a day. Everybody's there, everybody's having fun. Yes, we are working, but we're all having a good time. We're laughing, we're joking. When it's time to shoot, we're ready to shoot, and then we're having fun in between time, and we're moving fast, and everybody's there to just do their part. On larger sets, everybody is compartmentalized. It's kind of like a giant factory, so nobody is like allowed to do something that they're not supposed to do. But on small shoots, everybody is just like pitching in. Me, the producer, I don't have the expertise to help with, say, the makeup department, but if she needs something that's by her car, I can go and grab it. There's no egos. There's no, this is not my responsibility. I don't do this. Go talk to somebody else. It's just all, what is it that I can do to make this shoot go faster or be better? And that's why we do this. That's the magic of wanting to be a filmmaker and wanting to be on set. That is the magic of set, which is really what we are all trying to get back to. Set is really like the fun part. You spend a lot of time trying to, well, A, get the movie financed and made, and that's a long struggle. And then when you're on set, that's kind of just when you get to like have fun and experiment, and it should be fun. And that's why we do it. And that is also why I think things like AI and generative video can't replace this experience completely, because those of us who have done it just want to keep doing it. And even one of our crew had just graduated from film school. And I know I rail a lot about like film school and why it's a waste of money, but there also has to be room for people who don't have access to other people or who are not even sure if they want to do film, but they get a chance to experience it. And being on a set, even if it's just with a bunch of other students, gives you a taste of what it could be like. And I think that's important not only for filmmaking as a whole, but just for people to get a sense of that, yes, being an artist and being a filmmaker is something that is important and is needed. And that experience can't be replicated by someone just trying to generate everything, because part of the magic of filmmaking is the things that you don't expect, and that usually comes from somebody else. I know we give a lot of credit to like the auteur director who comes up with all the ideas, but really what a director does is just gives people a vision so they can use their expertise to execute it. Like in the case of this film, Chris, the director, has a vision, but the makeup artist has to come with their own ideas of what they think it could look like. And then the wardrobe person adds on how that wardrobe can augment that idea. And then the stunt coordinator sees how the creature is looking and he thinks, okay, he should move this way. And then the performer says, but I've also got this idea that I should move this way and do this. And it's all these ideas coming together. And that's the result that you see on screen. And also beyond seeing on screen is all the things that happen like off screen, all of the jokes and experiences and stories that we share with each other. Part of the thing of being on set is, yes, we want to all be working on great projects. And this project, I think, is a wonderful one. But we've also worked on projects that aren't so great or they didn't come out so great. But the experience was wonderful. And then you see that person like 3 months later and you're like, hey, we worked on that thing together. Remember that? And you just have this bond that you can't quite get somewhere else because you spent days and days and days working on something together. And those are the things that you remember. It's the stories. And when you put on the film that either you made or you worked on, that's the first thing that really comes in mind is the stories. Like a certain scene comes on and you remember like, oh yeah, we had to do that. And that was like really challenging, but this funny thing happened. And that's what you want to talk about. And that's what you want to experience again. One of the things that happened while we were there was half of the crew went out to shoot and then the rest of us were setting up the set in right by the shoreline. And then a deer came by and it got like pretty close and we all took pictures of it. And then I'm sure when we meet up again, we're going to be talking about that time that we were out there and we saw that deer. And hopefully with this project, we have some connections that we're going to be getting in front of and trying to see if we can take this from proof of concept short film, which will run in festivals, but we will try to make it into a feature film. And then the idea is to bring all these same people back who were so wonderful and do this whole thing again and spend even more time in adult summer camp while making a filmed stage play. And that's why we do it. And that's why it's important. And that's why I think the act of filmmaking is not something that is going to go away, because once you've actually experienced what it's like to be on a really good set, it is a feeling that you will want to try and reproduce. And there will be some good days and some bad days, but the overall idea is that I'm with a group of people who all are coming together for this one common goal. And then we're going to put all that energy into something that's going to be shown on screen and share it with people. And that is the experience that we create. That is the experience that we want to have again and again and again. And that's why it's important. So if you're a filmmaker who's struggling, if you're doubting, if other people are questioning you, this is my reminder to you that what you do is important. And what you do is a special experience that not a lot of people get to have. And you should not only cherish it for yourself, but don't let anybody else diminish it, demean it, or take it away from you. Filmmaking is something that's just a natural evolution of all the other art forms that we've created, but it's also one that has the special element of bringing people together and having a shared common experience, not only in the viewing of the film, but also in the making of it. And that is not something to be taken lightly. Keep going, keep staying motivated, always hold on to the magic that you experience by being on a great set. And we only get to be on so many of them, so cherish the ones that are great and the times that you get to do it. So that's my reminder to you. Don't forget to like, subscribe to this YouTube channel, subscribe to my Substack, marislitica.substack.com, and I will leave a link in the description below. Drop me a comment and let me know if you prefer this, me just going off on a tangent, this style, or if you like the more produced things that I do, which has like the music and the B-roll and all that. So trying to find my style here on this channel and see what's going to be the most helpful to everybody that's watching. Also drop me a comment and let me know what were some great sets that you've been on, or what were some not so great ones. Are you having doubts about being a filmmaker and whether you should be doing this, or do you need some encouragement? My goal here is just to not only provide frameworks, but also to give encouragement for people to keep going and not give up on their dreams and their passions. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.